Okay. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the Planning and Land Use Management Committee. I'm joined by the Honorable Councilmember Jose Rizar, now the MTA Board Member. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And we will not be having Jack Weiss with us today, Councilman Weiss. But let's plow through the agenda here. And there are certain items that we can perhaps move on, and given the number of speaker cards, I know we have speaker cards for items number 1 and 2, and they'll be called special. The speaker cards are number 3, and let's see. Okay, we'll call that special. Item 3. 4, no speaker cards will be continued till April 28th. I see no speaker cards on 5, 6, and 7, and 8, so they're all consent, so we can move on those. Councilmember? Okay, let me do yes. Items 9 and 10, we do have speaker cards, and they are on consent. Let's see who's speaking here. So Mr. Juarez, it's on a consent item. Do you still feel compelled to speak on item number 9?
Yes.
You still want to speak on it? Even though it's a yes, we're going to move it.
That's fine. It's a yes.
Okay, so that'll be a consent. He's waived his request to speak. And item 10, also on consent. Do you feel compelled to speak on 10? Okay, so that's on consent, so that'll be a yes vote there. Do you have a second there, Councilman?
Second.
Okay, so then item number 11 will continue in Perm to June 23rd, and in Council, July 8th. 12, we will continue to June 2nd, and in Plum, June 17th. And we do have our director here today. So that all items we moved on consent have been moved. Those that have been called special are now on the agenda. But I'd like to invite our director to speak on her report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would just like to bring you up to speed on a couple of items coming out of CPC, our City Planning Commission, that you will be pleased about, I'm sure. After 5 separate hearings on the topic, last week the CPC approved a comprehensive sign revision for the citywide sign code that you will all be seeing soon. And this new sign regulation is a 3-tiered format that not only addresses the citywide signs, but offers opportunity for 2 levels to go beyond the citywide through a sign program and also sign districts that is significantly limited from the old sign ordinance. So I think that we will be coming to you within the next few weeks with that, and I'm pleased because it appears that we will be able to get this to City Council before the second ICO, and we're very pleased about that. I also wanted to mention that as a follow-up to our baseline mansionization ordinance, the CPC last week recommended a code amendment that revised the current hillside area maps based on actual topography. As you probably remember, the old maps were often determined by streets and not topography, so we wanted to make sure we got that all cleaned up so that as we move forward with our new baseline for the hillsides, that we are actually addressing property that is in the hillside area. We also approved a modified expansion of the Museum of Tolerance. This Saturday, on April 4th, from 11 to 4, at the Los Angeles Central Library, our Office of Historic Resources is going to be hosting an all-day celebration of Survey LA called My Historic LA. And from 1 to 2:30, Larry Mantle, host of KPCC-FM's Air Talk, will be hosting a lively panel discussion. So we invite everyone. We've sent out lots of notices, and we're very excited about it. So,
And who will be on the panel on that one?
do you know, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I will get you that information.
In terms of one, I want to say congratulations to the staff. I know we pushed really hard towards the end of the year, right before '09, to get the sign ordinance to a place where we can review it and hopefully implement a policy that's going to help us with this rash of billboards that we've been seeing popping up all over the place. So that was very crucial, and I'm looking forward to that discussion here in Parliament. We're going to try to move that as soon as possible as well.
Good, thank you.
Great job. Councilman, any comments?
No.
Okay. So, thank you again, Director Goldberg and Roberto. Let's move to the first item.
Item 1, Councilman, is a motion Reyes Gruel. It's instructing planning with the assistance of various city departments to prepare a response on how the city will implement SB 375 relative to smart growth and development plans.
Okay. Yeah, staff, approach the microphone, please. Introduce yourself. We do have a couple of questions.
Good afternoon. I'm Helen Bibas with the Citywide Division. I've been working on the implementation of SB 375 for the last 2 years in close cooperation with SCAG and Environmental Affairs Department. We have conducted an internal workshop with SCAG and various people from the Planning Department to see how we can join our efforts to address that new state law. I'll be delighted to tell you more if you want to hear me. I don't know.
Well, I just want to understand the role of the planning department with all the other departments. Can you describe that role for me?
It's actually the lead implementing agency is SCAG. SCAG is charged with developing transportation plans and housing plans for the region in a way that meet the requirement of AB 32 and SB 375, that is to create sustainable communities, or another word for it is job housing balance type of communities. What we're doing for LA, which is one of the 12 sub-regions that SCAG is working with, is to start having SCAG staff looking at our community plans to see to what extent those community plans could perhaps be used by SCAG as the city's sustainable community strategy. As you know, our community plan are now, considered balanced and sustainable in terms of housing and transportation and ecology as well. So we are just talking, at this point, we are talking with our counterparts at SCAG to see what would be the best way to implement SB 375 with regards to the LA sub-region.
So we don't have a response yet to see if the community plan updates or the TODs are going to be enough to address the state mandate.
That's correct.
We don't know that yet.
We don't know yet. SCAG is looking at those plans as we speak today.
Okay.
Definitely the new generation of community plans to see to what extent those can be used. I'm very optimistic personally, having worked on previous projects like this with SCAG. They've used our framework and our community plans in the past to draft the regional transportation plan that SCAG is producing and is asked to be producing now for the future. So I'm very confident that they will use our land use maps and strategies to implement 375. But again, we are just talking at the staff level at this point. My management is also involved at the state level with regards to implementation of those regulations.
Now, when we look at the transportation modeling that currently exists, will the modeling have the ability to look at creating environmental sustainable communities by supporting the walkability and public transit, or we're still relying just on levels of service, the LOS measure?
What you just mentioned is definitely the direction that everybody in the transportation field is using. So we are looking at beyond LOS as a measure in our modeling approach, but we are not doing modeling. We, in citywide planning, we are using, SCAG is doing it, and they are including, I believe, in the new iterations, walkability and bicycling and these kind of things as well.
So do we have an understanding of how that model works, or is it still being developed?
It's still being worked on.
Okay, do we have an idea when they might have
The
some
direction is definitely
product?
to go beyond the LOS as a measure of transportation and congestion level.
So that's the
Yes,
objective?
That is the objective,
of the
definitely.
new model?
Definitely.
So I know we've had a culture here for decades in which we, just by winding a road, we seem to have provided an answer when in fact it's not. It's getting worse. So I would understand the direction of how this culture is changing. If it's not changing, does the modeling allow for these other types of uses that helps us?
I wish I could answer that question with more certainty. What I do know is in all our conversations with both transportation department and SCAG and the transportation staff at Caltrans is to look at, and again, also Caltrans is redoing the state transportation plan. So everybody is looking at complete streets, again, another way to approach sustainability, and definitely at the modeling that transportation planners will be using to develop those new programs.
Now, is environmental affairs working with you?
Yes, very closely so.
So could you provide for me, at least identify who in the city family is working with you?
Definitely.
What tends to happen is that when Sky does its work, it's working up here, but all departments here in the city don't seem to be connecting. And now we have the state mandate. Now we're forced to talk to each other and come up with some type of an approach
Yeah.
that's going to meet the test of the state mandate.
I can definitely articulate those issues in a staff report, pursuant to that motion. Just to give you another piece of information, EAD is actually the lead agency in the city with regards to implementation of the climate action plan. They are looking at all city facilities, DWP, airports, power plants, buildings. They are doing that part very diligently, and they are working with all city departments in that effort. We have also initiated working with them on the SCAG mandate to implement 375 with regards to the city of Los Angeles as a sub-region. So we are working at the staff level as well as the policy level with both SCAG and all the other agencies involved.
Without getting too complicated, I'm assuming there be some kind of an organizational chart or something that not too much detail, but at least gives us a sense of who's speaking to whom.
I can definitely furnish that
Okay.
in my
All right.
report.
Councilmember, any questions or observations? Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and refer to the planning department as a lead with the assistance of transportation, environmental affairs, housing department, bureau of sanitation, Department of Water and Power, fire, building and safety, bureau of engineering, and a consultation with the city attorney to prepare a report that delineates the city's implementation plan of SB 375. Okay?
Thank you.
How soon do you think you can put something together?
Can I have 3 weeks
3 weeks? Okay.
at least?
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll see you in 21 days?
2 more sessions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. That's going to be a fun one. All right. Item number 2, Roberto.
Councilman, item 2 is a report from DWP. It's in response to a Han Labange motion, and they're requesting planning and building and safety to report back on the feasibility of creating a water sustainability fee.
Okay, I'm sorry, Roberto, I have to put the brakes on that one. I don't know what's here, but Mr. Williams put a speaker cards for 1, 2, and 3. So I didn't see the number 1. So Mr. Williams, I'd like to speak on item number 1. Sorry, Roberto.
Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrow Road, El Sereno. I could hardly understand it either. One of the problems here is that you don't include parking, just as a common problem. In El Sereno, on Huntington, on Valley, and on Figueroa, we have basically expressways for all of the East San Gabriel Valley traffic. They avoid the 10, they avoid the 110 and the 2. Why? Because I can get parking, ground level parking, at $3 to $4 a day, which is primarily for the commuters. Hourly parking is for visitors. But if you don't control the parking, you will continue to maintain a very high efficiency to use your car to get downtown. And that means traffic, which also means air pollution, but also a matter of, say, 20, 30, say around 3,000 gallons per major arterial per day. And that's carbon. So if you can control through smart growth, or whatever that term would be, the parking. And increasing parking, as it's going to be done by city budgets during the next few years, doesn't seem to be consistent with the concept of trying to get people into transit. We would like to have transit-related or transit-related development on Valley, on Huntington, and maybe even on Figueroa, so that we can divert the traffic that's coming from Arcadia into transit, so that they can come to downtown by transit rather than by car and parking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Okay, Roberto, I'm sorry, item number 2?
Yes, Councilman, item 2 is a report from DWP. It's in response to a motion, Han Labange, requesting DWP, in conjunction with planning and building and safety, to report back on the feasibility of creating a water sustainability fee.
Do we have staff here? Item number 2?
Good afternoon. I'm Jimmy Anata, Assistant Director of Water Resources, LADWP. As you know, the mayor unveiled in May of '08 our water plan to promote recycled water, a minimum of 50,000 by the year 2019. We are aggressively moving toward that goal. In fact, just earlier this month, the LADWP Board of Water and Power Commissioners approved the Recycled Water Master Plan. That's going to serve as the roadmap on how we're going to get there. This program has really 3 main phases for the first 10 years. We're currently doing expansion of Purple Pipe, primarily for irrigation and industrial use. We're delivering about 8,000 acre-foot right now, and through another 5 more years, we will have delivered over 19,000 acre-foot for Purple Pipe and for irrigation and non-potable uses such as industrial. Beyond that, the master plan is going to look at how we can further expand our Purple Pipe system to get an additional 15,500 acre-foot, plus do 15,000 acre-foot for groundwater replenishment, similar to Orange County. So those 3 phases will get us to a minimum of the 50,000 by the year 2019. Now, what this is going to impose on the city of LA is a cost of approximately $1 billion to actually do this. So the Department of Water and Power is looking at establishing a way to fund this program. We're looking at four major contributors: state and federal funding through the Metropolitan Water District LRP, that's Local Resources Program. They pay up to $250 per acre foot for developed recycled water. We're also looking at establishing a fee for development that adds additional water demand on the city of LA, along with passing a portion of it over to our water rates. So within those four sources of funding, this is how we see us being able to pay for the recycled water program. Now, we're currently, we have not established what this sustainability fee is. We're working on it now, and it certainly has to be vetted through the general manager's office and through the Board and Water Power Commissioners. But we're making some very good headway, especially now that we have the master plan underway.
Okay. One of my first concerns is to understand what's in place now versus what we need to build out. I'd like to see a report back that gives us a status of those systems that you currently have in place.
Sure.
And what's needed to be developed in order to reach these goals that we've set.
I could certainly talk about that now, if you would like some more information on it.
Right. Well, you don't need to do that now, but if we can get it in written form.
Okay.
When you do the status reports, that way we can see it before the meeting and we can have our discussion. So before the meeting, give the committee a chance to review the information so we can engage you in other questions and hopefully find ways to supplement and support the goal of this program. I did want to, how are we factoring in the systems that we're looking at when it comes to the Los Angeles River and its proximity to these different areas? Is that being factored in any way?
Well, the LA River, first of all, there is a requirement to send water down LA River emanating from the Donald Tillman treatment plant.
Right.
There are minimum flows required there. What we're looking at doing is still maintaining that flow requirement to the LA River. Actually, what the water does, it goes into Lake Balboa first, which is recycled water, goes through the wildlife lake and the Japanese gardens, and works its way into the LA River to maintain a minimum flow.
Right.
But the further, right now we're using about 2,500 acre-foot of year of recycled water from the Donald Tillman plant for irrigation of 3 golf courses out there, along with using water to cool the Valley Generating Station cooling towers. This program, as we build out over the next 10 years, is going to take the additional available treated wastewater that is tertiary treated for further irrigation and for this 15,000 acre foot of groundwater replenishment. So we'll always have the flow requirement needed in the LA River.
Okay. So I look forward to that report. Maybe give us a status in 30 days and just break that information down and we can see what's in place, what needs to be built out. Can we hear that in 30 days?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So that'll be the one instruction to the Department of Water and Power is provide a status update in 30 days along with a status of the recycled water master plan. And 2, refer us to the planning and building and safety departments and coordinate with the Department of Water and Power as well.
Is it possible that I can be given a little bit more time than 30 days to do this?
Sure. Oh, what do you need?
If we can get back to you in 60 days on this?
Okay. Okay. Well, in 30 days, just tell us how far you've gone.
Okay.
See what you've done, and then we'll expect something in writing in 60 days.
Okay.
Just that time goes by so fast, we want to make sure things are happening.
Yes, it does.
Any questions, Councilman? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You have 2 speaker cards on this item also.
Okay. And let's hear from Mr. Williams, I believe. Yeah, he did mark this one too. And Alex Pugh as well. Sir?
Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrett Road, El Sereno. You should remember that the Hyperion sewage treatment plant produces far more water than DWP is talking about for the San Fernando Valley. The key to recycling of water here in LA, especially south of the Santa Monica's, is the Hyperion. And the Bureau of Sanitation is doing probably a much bigger job of it right now than DWP. Recharge. Actually, for your information, the recharge of the San Fernando Valley aquifers will increase the base flow in the LA River south of Clinton, the 134. We also are concerned that this whole replenishment cycle is not being communicated to the DWP MOU liaisons for the neighborhood councils. So we have no idea what's going on regarding the recycling of water. Some of my background is that we were considering pipe-to-pipe recycling of advanced treated sewage in Dubai. That is, from the sewage treatment plant through a very complicated water purification system to potable use. Reference to the Quimby funds. The Recreation and Parks Department has not had a very good experience with Quimby funds because the key will be the operations, and especially pumping of water. So you should, I say, have an augmented Quimby funds to include operations and maintenance of this system. But maybe DWP should be talking and preparing the report in conjunction with the Bureau of Sanitation and the Hyperion treatment plant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Alex Pugh, I believe. Robbie, like to start the clock?
Hi, Alex Pugh with the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, and I did just kind of have a question that I wanted to raise, and there may not be an answer today, but these sort of water sustainability funds would, it sounds like, only go for purple pipe expansion. It's possible that businesses or new developments could purchase offsets for water efficiency from other businesses, existing businesses, pay them to essentially become more efficient and then have that excess water. So in figuring all of this out as part of a broader plan, looking at, where do you put your money? Does it have to go to purple pipe, or, can you essentially purchase efficiency?
Do you have that in writing, your questions?
I don't, but I can submit it in writing if you'd like.
Would you submit it so we can refer it to the Department of Water and Power personnel and the
Absolutely.
folks working on this?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Aaron Green?
Mr. Chairman, Council Member, good afternoon. Aaron Green with VICA, Valley Industry and Commerce Association. Just quickly, with regards to creating or looking at the feasibility of creating a Quimby fee, like with regards to water sustainability, I don't know that now is the right time. I've talked to a number of my members about it, and VICA is in no way, shape, or form opposed to water efficiency, water sustainability. We supported the Mayor's Water Recycling Program. We've recently this year endorsed AB 474, which is Southern Blumenfield's bill for public financing of water retrofits. But in order to really move this item forward, it's my understanding there's going to need to be a Nexus Study, which is going to cost the city several hundred thousand dollars. And neither the city nor applicants really right now have the time to fund something like this. And I would just ask that you please consider the current economic times and what this is going to do to the business community before moving forward with any item like this. So thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, I believe that covers all the speakers for that particular item. So we will be hearing from the personnel with a verbal report in 30 days and with written report after that, 60. Okay. Next item, Roberto?
That would be item 3, Councilman. It's a city attorney prepare ordinance to extend the time period for tentative investing track maps.
Okay. Can you just brief report? Come on up.
Good afternoon, members of the committee, Alan Bell, Planning Department staff. This ordinance has already been before the committee. Briefly, it implements provisions in state law that were intended to breathe a new life into the housing industry during this economic downturn. It applies to subdivision and parcel maps that may expire during a 2.5-year window, starting from July 15th, 2008 through January 1st, 2011, and it grants them a 1-year grace period to record their map with the city engineer, going from the current 3-year period to a maximum of 4 years for the initial period. It also grants an extension of the number of extensions that can be applied to this initial period from a maximum of 5 1-year extensions to 6-year 1-year extensions. What's unique about this particular ordinance is that it goes actually beyond the state law provisions because in the city of Los Angeles, many housing projects have to have other related entitlements like variances or adjustments, site plan review, and all of these entitlements are time limited. So it makes sense to extend a 1-year grace period for these entitlements when they were improved in conjunction with the housing tract. So in summary, it breathes new life. It provides an important benefit to the housing industry during this housing downturn. It is something that we think it is important. It is an urgent matter, which is why this ordinance comes equipped with an urgency clause so that it would take effect on date of publication.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Veronica Perez-Becker.
Good afternoon, council members. We're here to ask that we're here to support this item and ask that you speedily approve it. During these times of economic crisis, the imperative exists for our policymakers to aid our ailing housing industry. Maintaining these maps and variances is critical to ensuring that California's home building industry is poised to quickly respond to pent-up demand when the market turns around. We ask that this item be speedily approved and scheduled before the full city council as soon as possible. There are many projects with entitlements that are set to expire in the next couple of months, and they need this to pass to stay alive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Becker. Any questions, Councilmember? Okay, so we'll move this item.
Oh, we do have one other speaker on that.
One other?
Yeah. Dr. Clyde Williams.
Oh, did you get this one too? Come on up. I didn't see your... I saw 1, 2, 3. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. The last time we had a similar situation. Elephant Hill had been stopped. It was included in not an ordinance, but as a motion to the city council, and it was pulled. Without knowing what projects are going to be influenced and how they relate to their entitlements, especially the CEQA entitlements, it should be considered that a subsequent or a supplemental EIR may be required, or a supplemental mitigated negative declaration. So it should be separated because this happened before and the Elephant Hill had to be delayed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I don't see any other cards on this one, so we'll go ahead and move this item. Thank you. Roberto, next.
So you're approving the ordinance, right, Councilman?
I'm sorry?
You're approving the ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The next item will be public speakers.
I'm sorry, which one?
Public comment.
Public comment. Okay. So we've been through all the cards, went through all the items, we continued everything, so
There's one public comment card also for Mr. Williams.
that's what I was going to do.
Okay.
Okay, come on up for public comment, Mr. Williams.
Actually, it's Dr. But
Dr. Williams.
Doctor,
State Route 710. has had significant impact upon El Sereno land use. The Caltrans is our largest slumlord. They've had considerable bad press, and they have not made effective use of the neighborhood council and trying to deal with the situation. They now say that they have a route-neutral project, just to do the geotechnical. However, they have not indicated that there's going to be any alternatives to an El Sereno portal for a tunnel, if it is to be brought forward. An El Sereno portal at Valley would require approximately 10,000 lineal feet by 100 or more feet wide and 100 or up to 150 feet deep, approximately 4 million cubic yards. Alhambra gave it to El Sereno. However, Alhambra is the one that benefits. Alhambra mayor and councilperson, in conjunction with Caltrans, came over to announce the project on El Sereno land. The drilling of the first well was on El Sereno land, not in Alhambra. The entire project is based upon the 710 Valley Junction, which does not give any alternatives to the portal. The portal will greatly impact the land use in the complete surrounding area. They are talking about putting what is called a cut and cover portal, and that will have a park over the top of the tunnel, maybe. We've heard this before. 20 years ago, I was there when they tried to go surface route. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else here for public comment? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.